Sometimes don't you just feel like it's one thing after another? It's been a few days and we're still here at Vic's house working on it. The truck runs good. What we did to it, well, the main thing that we did to it, amazing. Now, there's a few other things that popped up along the way. The truck runs so good that it actually needed an overhead. It sounds so good now. So we did good on that aspect, right? Now, as we were assembling it back on, see, you got your charge air cooler, right? Charge air cooler is not cheap either. That's this part right here. You see this one right here? That's that, okay? That's the charge air cooler. Basically, it comes from the turbo. It cools down the air that's returning back onto the intake, okay? When we were putting the charge air cooler back on, what it seemed to be like the bracket, the bottom bracket right here, it hit that radiator, and that's where that nick come from. I think that's what happened, but I mean, it happens, right? $1,000 later, but it happens, okay? I'm not too mad about it at all. It probably needed that kind of work anyway, because like when we pulled out the radiator and took the bracket apart, like this is the frame that holds the radiator, right? Is that this bottom piece right here is 4 pieces. This bottom piece right here actually needed a lot of work. Like it was so rusted that we broke so many bolts on that thing. So it probably needed it. Now, I don't think it needed a new radiator, but that's neither here or there. So we got a new radiator. Now it should run a lot cooler, right? I mean, it was running pretty decent anyway. It was running about 180 steady. You know, we get to 210. Fan comes on. What you call it? Opens up. Thermostat opens up. Cools down the engine to about 175, and then continues on. So, also this right here, our condenser. If you see right here, see that? Yeah, we're gonna have to address that later on. It's a good thing it's just a seal there. So when we get to Vegas, we're gonna address that. So you see this part right here, this pipe? That's partly my fault, because I already knew that it was rusted out, and I should have already been carrying a pipe with me the whole time, you know, just in case it goes out on me. So now I've been knocking off some stuff off of it, and it does start to sip out of there, the coolant. I'm glad it actually did it right here while we're already down. The bad part is that now we gotta wait on that part. And did you know that that part, Kenworth charges $650? We can get it from online at American Radiator for $180. Now the problem we're running into is that we are crunch on time. So Kenworth is able to get it down to $450. So if we were to get it from American Radiators online, they would have had to overnight it over here. It would have cost $180 plus $200, so it's almost a $400. We'll just take the Kenworth one. At least it's OEM.
Never at ease, I don't know a limit. Chasing a dream, I don't know what sleepers. I got a queen, she lit me the evening. She ripe like a peach and she snapped me the snippet. You well overdue for that link up in person.
What I really want to talk about in this video is because I went through it already. I went through that roller coaster feeling, you know. It's like, man, why is it one thing after another, you know? But when you sit back actually and think about it, man, it's like, for example, that pipe, that was 100% my fault, you know. The radiator, that's 100% non-preventable. You know what I mean? It just like when you're doing repairs, that stuff happens. As a matter of fact, if you had that at the dealership and they were doing things like that, and accidents do happen, you know what I mean? So that happens. And like some of the other little things like these clamps, is actually these clamps right here, I should just go ahead and replace all of them, you know what I mean? And even like the hose clamps and things like that. So, you know, uh, I usually I usually get a little bit caught up emotionally on something like that, but I'd have to, a lot of times I have to sit back, and then think about it for a second, because it's like, really, none of this is preventable. You know what I mean? Accidents do happen and things happen. So that's part of trucking. That is why you put aside, 20 cents a mile for every mile for maintenance. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, guess how much he's spending already just on this type of repairs. I've had this for a very, very long time. So we're going to go ahead and replace our old one. This is the old one, right? Oh yeah, there was no metal shaving on there. So I was very surprised. Come on. It doesn't want to focus. Okay. Anyway, yeah, there was no metal shaving on there when I pulled it out. So that's a good thing. So that means the filter caught it all. Then we're gonna go ahead and change it with this. What this is gonna make it easier to drain. So you can actually flip this up and move it this way, and it opens and closes right there. It's a little valve. So you can drain it a little bit at a time. So we can do oil changes on the side of the road without having that big old pan right there. Just do it a little bit at a time. I just realized when they did an oil change for me over there in Florida that they gave me a Napa filter. Now, how much that difference does that make? But I don't know. But this is usually what you usually use right here. And they still charge me $500 and some on that oil change. On this oil change, it's gonna cost us $240 on the oil plus $160 on the filters, and it's genuine filter. I know it's really close, right? But at least we know what kind of oil we're gonna put on there, or what kind of oil is actually going in there. It's not just like, okay, put Delvac on there, but I don't know if they're mixing that with something else. Surprisingly, there was no metal shavings on the bottom of that drain plug. So I was really happy with that. That tells me that filter did its job and filter most of all that stuff that was coming out of it. I mean, there was definitely something coming out of that camshaft and that rocker arm, that intake rocker. So where did it all go? Normally it would, well, I guess like the big pieces or whatever, right? It would be caught on the magnet, but the little pieces would be on the other stuff. I guess that's a good thing, because that means like everything that's going through that filter is being caught. So topic of the video, right, is how you get one thing after another, and then you start getting discouraged and stuff like that. Even I started questioning my life choices when this truck starts to break down one thing after another. I start to question my life choices. But if you think about it like how you should be thinking about it is a business. You got to factor that in. That's part of the equation when you're doing your expenses. When you're calculating your expenses, that's why when you're bidding on loads, on how much you should be charging, that should also be a calculation into your decision making process. You should be factoring that into that, because just like this, we're almost $4,000 deep into this thing. Parts only, okay? Parts only. Let that sink in. That's one of the main reasons why I started this channel, believe it or not. It's because I was looking for resources, information on, like, becoming an owner operator or whatever, right? And there isn't any, I think that mostly the thing was like I didn't know what the question to ask. It's like I think that's most of the problem a lot of the people are having is like, where do you start? What question do you ask? That's why I'm hoping that this channel does what it's supposed to, or what it's intended to do, is that to, like, those beginning owner operators, man, start knowing your costs, and start calculating and start factoring all of that in so you can add that into your negotiation or factor that into your negotiation, or if you want to pull this type of freight or whatever. It's just, I mean, let's say you get to 21 years old, and let's say you start driving for a company for a year, and then you save up enough money, and then you want to start your own authority. Are you going to get to over 100K right away? Absolutely not. No, it's another learning process. uh, you're not just going to jump in here and be like, start making that much money. You know what I mean? Those people that are complaining about not making that much money is because, I would say, probably 100% of that is not being informed enough, not being educated enough into the industry, or maybe did not do enough research. That's why they're not looking good right now. You know what I mean? Like, the rates are really junk right now, especially in van. Woo. It's nice to do your own work, Make sure you pick up after yourself. That's all dirty all right there. They're gonna take all of that at AutoZone or any place that changes oil. All you gotta do is hand it to them. They'll take it from your hand. So ain't no sense of making a mess. That stuff is really bad for the environment. So at least that's what they tell me. See, look at that. And we made a little bit of mess right there. Just a little bit of spill. I think we're okay, though. We did okay. That's how we're going to be doing our oil changes from now on. I guess what I'm trying to say in this vlog is that no matter how hard it gets, just as long as you factor in everything that you're supposed to factor in, everything will work out perfectly. You know what I mean? So, like, the maintenance on this truck, she's actually taking more money now. She owes money now because she has not, since we've been out on the road, she hasn't made that much money in maintenance money. But we gotta do what we gotta do. We gotta get her running, So she owes us money. Time to pay up. She gonna pay with interest. Anyway, that's the end of this video, man. We're just waiting on that pipe. Kenworth should have it first thing in the morning, and we're gonna put that on and put the coolant on, and she is good to go, man. She is running so smooth, man. I love listening to it, So from now on, we're gonna be doing the overhead ourselves, even on the road, I would say I'll probably check that overhead maybe every 50,000 miles or something like that. So be ready for a lot of those videos, I'm happy. I am. Even though we did a lot of things to it. Like I said, we're about $4,000 deep into it, including that pipe. Did you know that pipe cost that much, man? They're charging you like $650 for that pipe. And then for some reason they miraculously like get $200 off. So anyway, that's the end of the video, man. I know, like, sometimes it gets like, man, it's one thing after the other, it's gonna something will happen. It's only a matter of time, and hopefully you just slow it down enough to where you make enough money to fix that, whatever that thing that happened, So we will see y'all in the next video.